Admiral Victoria Nash stood at the observation deck of the stellar diplomatic station Harmony, watching the swirling nebula clouds beyond the reinforced windows. After 30 years in the United Earth Space Force, she thought she'd seen everything. She was wrong. "They want to do what?" she asked, turning to face Captain James Rodriguez, her diplomatic liaison officer. "Quarantine the entire solar system, Admiral," Rodriguez replied, his dark eyes scanning the datapad in his hands. The Galactic Council's exact words were, "Implement immediate containment protocols for the protection of all sentient species." Nash pinched the bridge of her nose. "And this is because they saw extreme sports videos, ma'am. Specifically, wingsuit flying and free solo climbing." Rodriguez couldn't quite keep the amusement out of his voice. "The Xylaxians are particularly disturbed by what they call our systematic desensitization to death through recreational near-death experiences." The massive conference chamber of Station Harmony had been specifically designed to accommodate the dozen most influential species in the known galaxy. Currently, all of them were in various states of agitation after watching a curated selection of human entertainment broadcasts. High Counselor Vexthor of the Arcturian Collective, a being composed of shimmering energy contained within an environmental suit, pulsed with alarm. "Your species intentionally hurls itself down frozen mountainsides on primitive wooden planks? For pleasure?" "Skiing," Nash explained patiently. "It's a sport. A recreational activity. You recreate by risking immediate death." Ambassador Nixis of the Silicon Confederation chittered, her crystalline form resonating with disbelief. Before Nash could respond, the holoscreen displayed footage of a parkour compilation. The assembled aliens watched in horror as humans leaped between buildings, flipped over obstacles, and performed death-defying stunts. "Even your young engage in these survival challenges," exclaimed Representative K. L. Ricks of the Hive Mentality, their compound eyes rapidly changing colors. "We observed your playgrounds, clearly primitive combat training facilities designed to condition children to ignore their natural preservation instincts." Rodriguez stepped forward. "With all due respect, representatives, you're misinterpreting Dash. We observed humans willingly consuming neurotoxins for social bonding," interrupted Chancellor Zyx of the Quantum Collective, their quantum field fluctuating in distress. "They call it happy hour." Nash felt a headache building. "Alcohol is a cultural tradition Dash. A tradition of recreational poisoning." Vexthor's energy form flared dramatically. "And let us not even begin discussing your species' relationship with creatures you call dogs, you selectively modified apex predators into companions." The meeting deteriorated further as the alien representatives discovered more aspects of human behavior that horrified them. They learned about spicy food challenges, intentional pain for entertainment, roller coasters, simulated death experiences, and horror movies, training scenarios for planetary catastrophes. Dar. Elena Patel, Earth's leading xenoanthropologist, observed the proceedings with growing fascination. She leaned close to Nash and whispered, "This is actually quite revealing about their species' psychology. They evolved toward extreme risk aversion. We're essentially their evolutionary nightmare." The final straw came when someone mentioned human persistence hunting. The mere concept of humans chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion caused 3 different species to require emotional support drones. "The Council has reached a decision," Vexthor announced after an emergency deliberation. "Earth will be designated a Class X restricted zone. No cultural exchange permitted. The quarantine barrier will extend 50 light-years in all directions." Nash started to protest, but Dr. Patel gripped her arm. "Wait," she whispered. "This might not be bad." "How is being declared too dangerous to interact with not bad?" Rodriguez muttered. "Because," Patel replied with a knowing smile, "there's nothing more intriguing than a warning sign that says, 'Keep out.'" Sure enough, within hours of the quarantine announcement, the station's communication array was flooded with requests from across the galaxy. Scientists seeking to study human survival adaptations. Thrill-seeking aliens desperate to witness human death-defiance rituals. Amateur xenologists hoping to document Earth's massive population of modified predator companions. As Nash reviewed the growing list of quarantine exemption requests, she realized Dr. Patel was right. They'd accidentally turned Earth into the galaxy's most exclusive tourist destination. What do we do now? Rodriguez asked, watching the request numbers climb. Nash smiled for the first time that day. Now we negotiate. After all, if they're this fascinated by skiing videos, wait until they discover human music festivals. The horror on the alien representatives' faces suggested that particular cultural revelation might need to wait for another day. 2 weeks after Earth's quarantine designation, Admiral Nash found herself facing an entirely new crisis. The holoscreen in her office aboard Station Harmony displayed dozens of unauthorized vessels hovering just outside the solar system's newly established restriction zone. They're calling themselves anthropological observers, Captain Rodriguez reported, scrolling through the latest security feeds. Though I doubt any legitimate research involves setting up what appears to be viewing galleries. Dar. Patel, who had been officially appointed as Earth's Xenocultural Affairs Director, couldn't suppress her amusement. They're tailgating. The aliens are literally tailgating our solar system. The situation had evolved far beyond their initial expectations. The Galactic Council's attempt to isolate humanity had backfired spectacularly. Earth had become the forbidden fruit of the cosmos, and every spacefaring species wanted a bite. We've intercepted some rather interesting transmissions, Commander Wei Zhang announced, entering Nash's office with a data crystal. Apparently, there's an underground market for what they're calling Earth Experience packages. The crystal projected a series of advertisements that would have been hilarious if they weren't so concerning. Witness the death-defying humans. Watch in horror as they voluntarily subject themselves to gravitational forces for entertainment in ritual spaces known as theme parks. Exclusive footage, human cubs engaging in primitive combat training using rotating metallic structures and inclined planes. Warning, not suitable for sensitive neural networks. Special offer, observe humans consuming molecular-altered sustenance in their mysterious fast food ceremonies. Nash massaged her temples. Please tell me we're not becoming a galactic sideshow. Actually, Dr. Patel interjected, this could be an unprecedented opportunity. The Galactic Council species evolved through extreme caution and risk aversion. To them, we're fascinating precisely because we're everything they're not. A priority alert flashed across Nash's screen. Representative K.L. Ricks of the Hive Mentality was requesting an emergency conference. Within minutes, the alien's agitated form appeared in holographic projection. Admiral Nash, we have a situation, K.L. Ricks's translator conveyed their distress. Our youth are becoming influenced. They're attempting to imitate human behaviors. Security footage began playing, showing young aliens from various species engaging in poorly attempted human activities. A group of silicon-based beings tried to recreate skateboarding using crystalline formations. Several energy entities attempted to simulate human dance movements, causing minor electromagnetic disturbances. There's more, K.L. Ricks continued. Underground entertainment venues are emerging across the galaxy, themed after human concepts. They call them adrenaline simulators, though none of our species even produce adrenaline. Commander Zhang couldn't hide his grin. We're becoming counterculture without even trying. It gets worse, Rodriguez added, pulling up more reports. Remember those modified predator companions they were so horrified by? There's now a black market demand for Earth pets. Someone tried to smuggle a golden retriever through the Arcturus checkpoint yesterday. The customs officials were simultaneously terrified and fascinated. Dr. Patel's eyes lit up with academic excitement. This is remarkable. We're observing the galaxy's first documented case of mass xenocultural rebellion. Entire generations of aliens are rejecting their species' inherent caution because they're captivated by human unpredictability. Nash stood at her viewport, watching another cluster of alien observation vessels taking position at the edge of the quarantine zone. The Council wanted to contain us because they thought we were dangerous. Instead, they've turned us into the galaxy's forbidden adventure park. Speaking of adventure, Rodriguez interrupted, we're picking up unauthorized transmissions from Earth. Someone's been broadcasting extreme sports events on frequencies the aliens can intercept. The latest was a base jumping competition. Effects? Nash asked, already suspecting the answer. 3 different alien species have submitted emergency petitions to the Council demanding supervised Earth visits for cultural research purposes. The Arcturians are particularly insistent. Apparently, they've developed a theoretical model for energy being bungee jumping. Dr. Patel couldn't contain her enthusiasm. This is exactly what I predicted. The quarantine isn't suppressing interest in humanity, it's amplifying it. We've become the galaxy's ultimate restricted content, and everyone wants access. A new alert flashed, more unauthorized vessels approaching the quarantine boundary. These ones were broadcasting what they claimed were scientific research intentions, though their sensor loadout suggested more tourist-like interests. Options? Nash asked her team. We could strengthen the quarantine, Zhang suggested. Increase patrols, implement stricter penalties. Or, Dr. Patel countered, we could start thinking about controlled cultural exchange programs. If they're this fascinated by videos and distant observation, imagine their reaction to properly supervised Earth visits. Nash considered both perspectives, watching another luxury cruise vessel attempting to disguise itself as a scientific research ship at the edge of the restriction zone. The situation was rapidly becoming untenable. Captain Rodriguez, draft a proposal for the Council. If they won't lift the quarantine, they need to at least consider regulated cultural exchange programs. Better to have controlled interaction than this growing chaos. And the current observers? Zhang asked, gesturing to the growing fleet of alien vessels. Nash smiled. Send them today's footage of the surfing competition in Hawaii. Let's give them something to really talk about. As her team dispersed to their tasks, Nash reflected on the irony of their situation. The galaxy had tried to isolate humanity for being too dangerous, too unpredictable, too fascinating. Instead, they'd created the greatest advertisement for human culture the species had never intended to make. Somewhere in the distance, another alien vessel dropped out of faster-than-light travel, eager to catch a glimpse of the galaxy's most interesting restricted zone, Earth, where danger was a hobby and defying death was entertainment. The incident began, as many human-alien misunderstandings did, at a small diner in rural Nevada. Admiral Nash stared at the security footage in disbelief as Commander Zhang walked her through the events. At 0300 hours, a group of what appeared to be human tourists entered the establishment, Zhang reported. The owner, Mrs. Henderson, didn't realize anything was amiss until one of them tried to drink the coffee through their exoskeletal plates. The footage showed 3 figures in ill-fitting human clothing attempting to blend in. One wore a trench coat despite the desert heat, another had sunglasses perched awkwardly on what was clearly an environmental helmet, and the third kept forgetting to move their legs while walking, instead hovering slightly above the ground. Xylaxians, Dr. Patel identified immediately. Their fascination with human caffeine consumption rituals was a major topic in their latest cultural research request. Captain Rodriguez entered the office, carrying fresh intelligence reports. This isn't an isolated incident. We've documented 47 cases of alien tourists attempting to infiltrate human population centers in the past month alone. They're getting creative with their disguises. The holoscreen displayed a series of images, a silicon-based being attempting to pass as a street performer by standing perfectly still, unnecessary, as they were already a living statue, energy entities trying to blend in at a nightclub by claiming their bioluminescence was advanced cosplay, and a hive mind collective attending a football game while sharing a single oversized human costume. The Council's quarantine is failing, Nash stated, watching another recording of an alien attempt to experience a roller coaster while wearing what appeared to be 3 human suits stacked on top of each other. Not because we can't enforce it, but because they can't contain their own people's curiosity. Dr. Patel pulled up her latest xenoanthropological analysis. It's fascinating. These aren't just random incidents. There's an entire underground tourist industry developing. Look at these encrypted advertisements we intercepted. The ads flashed across the screen. Authentic human experience tours. Witness real humans in their natural habitats. Popular packages include the fast food frenzy, watch humans consume impossibly processed nutrients. The public transportation challenge, experience the thrill of unregulated mass movement. The shopping mall adventure, observe complex social hierarchies in commercial spaces. Special offer, weekend sports bar package, witness hundreds of humans achieving simultaneous emotional peaks over territorial games. Commander Zhang couldn't suppress a chuckle. They're treating us like we're some kind of extreme nature documentary. It gets better, Rodriguez added. Remember those modified predator companions they were so terrified of? We caught a group of Arcturians trying to establish an illegal dog petting sanctuary in Central Park. They called it controlled chaos therapy. A new alert flashed across Nash's screen. Now what? Minor situation in Tokyo, Zhang reported. A group of quantum collective tourists accidentally revealed themselves at a karaoke bar. They were so moved by the concept of voluntary public performance that their containment field started leaking emotional radiation. Casualties? Nash asked sharply. No injuries, but several humans reported feeling unexplained bursts of alien appreciation for Earth music. 3 of them have started spontaneously humming in frequencies only quantum beings can normally perceive. Dar. Patel was practically bouncing with academic excitement. This is unprecedented. We're observing the first cases of genuine cultural exchange, even if it's technically illegal. The aliens aren't just observing us anymore, they're trying to understand us through immersion. Another series of images appeared, alien tourists badly disguised as humans at a spicy wing challenge competition, a group of silicon beings attempting to learn surfing while pretending to be particularly stiff exchange students, and what appeared to be an entire hive mentality collective trying to experience a water park. We need to get ahead of this, Nash decided. If we can't stop them from coming, we need to control how they interact with Earth. Captain Rodriguez, contact the Council. Tell them we're detecting increasing instances of unauthorized cultural contamination due to unregulated tourism. And if they maintain their hardline stance on quarantine? Zhang asked. Then remind them, Nash smiled, that at least 3 of their own council members' offspring have been caught trying to sneak into human music festivals. Apparently, our capacity for synchronized movement and sustained auditory appreciation is considered quite exotic. Dr. Patel was already drafting proposals. We could establish controlled cultural exchange centers. Safe spaces for aliens to experience human activities under proper supervision. It would be better than having them risk exposure trying to blend in at mini-golf courses. Mini-golf? Nash raised an eyebrow. Oh yes, Rodriguez grinned. Apparently, the concept of recreational geometry is quite popular among the silicon-based species. Though they keep trying to calculate the perfect angle instead of just hitting the ball. As if to emphasize the point, another alert came through, a group of energy beings had been caught trying to experience a human roller coaster. They'd forgotten to maintain solid form through the loop-de-loop, resulting in what the report described as localized aurora borealis effects. Nash looked out her office window at Earth below, beautiful and oblivious to its status as the galaxy's most sought-after forbidden destination. Start drafting those exchange center proposals, Dr. Patel. And someone please tell the Xylaxians that they don't need to wear 3 pairs of sunglasses to visit a beach. 1 is suspicious enough. Somewhere in Nevada, Mrs. Henderson's diner had just received another group of oddly dressed tourists who seemed suspiciously interested in the concept of breakfast food. At least these ones remembered to walk instead of hover. Admiral Nash's morning began with what could only be described as an intergalactic viral crisis. The holographic display in the emergency briefing room showed the same footage playing on every alien social network across the galaxy. A young Arcturian noble, Vesna, had somehow managed to sneak past Earth's quarantine and document what she called the ultimate human adventure experience. 17 million quantum shares in the first hour, Captain Rodriguez reported, watching the footage of Vesna attempting various human activities. Her Earth Challenge series is breaking every known record for interstellar content engagement. The videos showed the energy being trying everything from skateboarding, her containment suit left light trails that made for spectacular visuals, to participating in a hot dog eating contest, despite not having a digestive system. The final video, which had caused the current emergency, showed her joining a group of base jumpers. In her defense, Dr. Patel noted, she did maintain her containment field throughout the entire jump. Though I'm not sure she understood that the parachute was supposed to be the primary safety device, not a decorative accessory. Commander Zhang rubbed his temples. The problem isn't just her stunts. It's the effect they're having. We're detecting massive spikes in unauthorized approach attempts. Every thrill-seeking alien with a spacecraft wants to recreate her Earth Challenge series. The situation had indeed spiraled beyond mere tourism. Vesna's videos had transformed Earth from a forbidden curiosity into the galaxy's ultimate extreme sports destination. The quarantine zone was now surrounded by what amounted to an impromptu festival of alien vessels, all broadcasting variations of "We just want to try the human things." Her latest upload is about something called parkour, Rodriguez said, pulling up the footage. Though she seems to think it's some kind of ritual combat with architecture. The screen showed Vesna bouncing off buildings in her environment suit, her energy form glowing with excitement as she narrated, "Observe, fellow beings. The humans have developed specialized warfare techniques against their own structures. Truly, their capacity for finding new opponents knows no bounds." Nash watched as 3 different Galactic Council alert notifications flashed across her screen. "I assume they're not calling to compliment our architectural combat techniques?" "No, ma'am," Zhang confirmed. "They're demanding we take action to stop what they're calling dangerous cultural contamination." Though it's worth noting that Vesna's fan base now includes several council members' children. Dr. Patel was reviewing the analytics from the viral footage. The most popular video is her visit to something completely mundane, a trampoline park. Apparently, the concept of recreational bouncing is revolutionary to species that evolved with an instinctive fear of losing contact with solid surfaces. A new alert caught their attention. The screen showed a group of silicon-based beings attempting to recreate Vesna's trampoline experience using crystalline growth patterns. The result was less recreational bouncing and more accidental modern art installation. "It gets worse," Rodriguez added. She's announced her next challenge, something called the Ultimate Human Food Quest. She's planning to try every type of Earth cuisine in one solar day. "But she doesn't even eat," Nash exclaimed. "Try telling that to her 15 million followers who are now demanding samples of human food," Zhang replied. "We've already had to stop 3 different smuggling attempts of something called ghost pepper sauce. Apparently, the name alone has convinced several species it's some kind of spiritual experience." Dr. Patel suddenly straightened in her chair. "Wait. This might be exactly the opportunity we need." All eyes turned to her as she continued, "Think about it. Vesna has done what all our diplomatic efforts couldn't, she's humanized us to the galaxy. Yes, she's presenting everything as extreme challenges, but she's also showing that human activities can be participated in safely, more or less." Nash caught on to her thinking. "You're suggesting we work with this instead of against it?" "Exactly," Patel nodded. "We establish official Earth experience programs. Controlled, safe environments where aliens can try human activities under proper supervision. It's better than having them attempt skateboarding in secret with predictably catastrophic results. The Admiral considered this while watching another clip of Vesna, now attempting to understand the human concept of dance clubs. Her energy form was creating an impressive light show, though she seemed confused about why the human participants weren't also generating their own bioluminescence. Draft a proposal, Nash decided. But make it clear these would be cultural exchange centers, not adrenaline theme parks. The last thing we need is to encourage more architectural warfare enthusiasts. As if on cue, another alert came through. A group of Quantum Collective youths had been caught trying to recreate Vesna's parkour video in the Martian colonies. Their attempt to combat architecture in 1/3 gravity had resulted in what local authorities were diplomatically calling an interesting new approach to colony redesign. And someone please, Nash added, watching Vesna's latest upload of her attempting to understand human sports, explained to her that minigolf is not, in fact, a simulation of planetary bombardment techniques. The screen showed the Arcturian enthusiastically launching golf balls with enough energy to create small craters, proudly declaring to her followers, "Observe how humans train for precision strikes using miniaturized spherical projectiles. Truly, they can turn anything into a survival challenge." Dr. Patel was already drafting safety guidelines for the proposed cultural exchange centers. Under minigolf rules, the first item simply read, "No antimatter putters allowed." 6 months after Vesna's viral Earth adventures, Admiral Nash stood in the newly constructed Galactic Cultural Exchange Center just outside of New Denver. The massive complex, designed to safely introduce aliens to human activities, represented humanity's most ambitious diplomatic project to date. "I still can't believe we pulled this off," Captain Rodriguez remarked, watching a group of silicon-based beings carefully attempting to play basketball. They had finally grasped that phasing through the ball was against the rules, though their crystalline forms made impressive light patterns when they jumped. "The Council didn't have much choice," Dr. Patel responded, reviewing the latest statistics on her datapad. After the Great Pizza incident last month, they had to admit that regulated cultural exchange was better than chaos. The incident in question had involved thousands of alien tourists attempting to secretly experience Earth's food culture simultaneously, resulting in what media outlets called the Night of 1,000 Suspicious Diners. The sight of obviously disguised aliens trying to casually order pizzas across every major city had finally forced the Council's hand. Commander Zhang approached with the latest visitor numbers. "We're at capacity again. The Safe Adventure Experience programs are particularly popular. Who knew that alien species would line up for hours just to try bowling?" Speaking of which, Nash nodded toward a viewing gallery where several Quantum Collective representatives were watching human families bowl. Their commentary was being translated through the center's systems. Fascinating. They deliberately propel dense spheroids to impact smaller geometric forms. For entertainment. Note how even their younglings participate without showing appropriate fear of the projectiles. Most intriguing, they appear to be celebrating both successful and unsuccessful attempts. Perhaps it's some form of psychological warfare training? Dr. Patel couldn't help but smile. They're still trying to find military applications for everything we do. Though I must say, the Hive mentality's interpretation of minigolf as tactical geometry appreciation was quite creative. The center had been designed with various zones to safely introduce aliens to human activities. The culinary exploration area featured specially modified food samples for different physiologies. The physical recreation zone offered everything from supervised trampoline sessions to simplified sports lessons. There was even a pet interaction space where aliens could safely experience what they still called modified predator companionship. "Ambassador Vexthor is here again," Rodriguez noted, gesturing to where the energy being was enthusiastically participating in what had become their favorite human activity, paint by numbers. Apparently, the concept of structured creativity is revolutionizing their educational system. Nash watched as a group of young Xylaxians timidly approached the newly installed dance floor. Their environmental suits had been decorated with what appeared to be human band logos, and they were attempting to copy moves from Earth music videos. The Council's latest report is in, Zhang announced, bringing up the data. Cultural exchange participation is up 300%, unauthorized tourism attempts are down 85%, and applications for permanent diplomatic posting to Earth have reached an all-time high. Dr. Patel was practically glowing with academic satisfaction. We've achieved something unprecedented here. Instead of being quarantined for our dangerous nature, we've turned it into a bridge between species. Though I'm still not sure why they find our card games so thrilling. As if on cue, they passed the strategic recreation zone, where a very serious group of Arcturians was engaged in what they called high-stakes probability warfare simulation, or as humans called it, go fish. Did you see the latest addition to the orientation video? Rodriguez asked, pulling up the footage on his tablet. The screen showed Vesna, now Earth's official galactic cultural ambassador, enthusiastically explaining human activities to new visitors. Remember, fellow beings, humans developed these recreational activities not as survival training, but as ways to find joy in existence. Yes, even the one with the small white spheroids and curved metallic rods. No, golf is not actually combat training, despite what my earlier video suggested. Nash smiled, remembering how they'd finally convinced the Council to approve the exchange center. It had taken months of negotiations, countless demonstrations, and one particularly memorable incident where a Council member had accidentally discovered the joy of bubble wrap. Latest request from the Quantum Collective, Zhang reported, checking his updates. They want to establish a permanent research center dedicated to studying human board games. Apparently, the concept of family game night has completely revolutionized their understanding of social bonding. And the Silicon Confederation is petitioning to include human dance classes in their standard education curriculum, Rodriguez added. Though they're still struggling with the concept of freestyle movement. Dr. Patel was already documenting these developments for her upcoming book, From Quarantine to Cultural Revolution, How Human Recklessness Changed the Galaxy. A commotion from the main entrance caught their attention. A new group of visitors had arrived, representatives from a previously isolated species that had specifically requested to end their isolation after seeing footage of humans doing karaoke. They traveled 40 light-years, Zhang said incredulously, to experience something that most humans need alcohol to attempt. Nash watched as the new arrivals were guided through orientation, their expressions of nervous excitement perfectly visible despite their alien features. You know what the funniest part of all this is? She mused. The Council wanted to quarantine us because they thought we were too dangerous to interact with. Instead, we've become the galaxy's favorite self-improvement retreat. Speaking of improvement, Rodriguez interjected, the hive mentality is requesting permission to establish what they're calling controlled chaos appreciation centers across their territories. Apparently, they want to introduce their population to the human concept of improvisational cooking. As Nash watched the various species in the center attempting to understand and experience human activities, she realized they'd achieved something far more significant than just avoiding quarantine. They'd turned humanity's supposed weaknesses, our love of adventure, our willingness to try new things, our ability to find joy in potential chaos, into our greatest diplomatic asset. Next month's addition to the center? Dr. Patel asked, reviewing the construction plans. A supervised water park, Nash replied with a slight smile. Let's see how the energy beings handle water slides. Somewhere in the distance, an alien voice could be heard excitedly explaining to their group, and humans do this weekend brunch thing every 7 planetary rotations. Truly, their capacity for scheduled celebratory nutrition knows no bounds. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity's place in it.